Coming up on the Elon Phoenix Weekly.
We head to the football practice fields to get a glimpse at what the team is doing during their winter workouts.
Find out what it really means to embrace the grind.
And celebrate Elon's 125th year anniversary by checking out a panel on women's athletics.
All that and more next on the Elon Phoenix Weekly.
Welcome back to the Elon Phoenix Weekly.
For today's show, we step into Alumni Gym to see the youth movement of women's basketball.
And dive headfirst into the process of team scheduling.
But first, let's head out to the practice fields to see how the football team is preparing for spring practice.
With a new coaching staff in place, the football team is back out preparing their bodies to make a positive impact come spring practice. But before they can play, they must first go through winter training. Let's take a look.
Our main thing when we first got here was, we wanted to work on changing the guys' body composition a little bit. We had a lot of guys that were either young or young training age, as far as workouts go. So one of our big thing was assess where they're at, height, weight, body comp. We got to change that. Once we change that, we'll be more resistant to injury. We'll move around better. We'll be more efficient.
In his first offseason with the football team, where does Coach Perlak have to start in terms of preparing the players for the upcoming season?
We kind of had to start at square one. Myself and my staff being new, coach and his staff being new, and then having a pretty young team overall. We didn't graduate a lot of guys, so it was one of those things where we kind of just looked at it with, if we're at ground zero, what do we do with this team? And we kind of just tried to build a good foundation.
So the winter has gone well. I think Coach Perlak and our strength program has done a phenomenal job. It's one of the reasons I believe starting spring practice may be later than a lot of schools, particularly in the Southeast, start, because I thought it was important for Ted to get a solid 8 weeks in the strength, because this is a bulk time. This is a time that we're able to add bulk without, kind of cutting it up with spring practice.
With 8 weeks to train and develop players, how does Coach Perlak begin the process of working out the team?
When the coaches were on the road recruiting, we were working out 4 days a week. We do a basic split routine of a lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body in the weight room. And then we were doing what we call our developmental runs twice a week in January. So that was with the strength staff, and our main goal there was, attention to detail, follow directions, work on some acceleration, work on some change of direction, but more or less be in good enough shape to start our next phase of the running program, which is what we're in now, which is our team competitions. Our first 5, because we have 10 of them all together, were more of a station type thing where we just wanted the guys to work on their effort, their strain, their attention to detail. We got through 5 of those, and then we kind of flipped it on the guys, and now we're in more of a team competition where you still got to have your effort, you still got to have your strain, you still got to have your attention to detail, but now every rep is graded, every rep is scored, and it's a competition within the groups.
We're starting to see who's kind of taken shape from a leadership standpoint, who has some strides they still need to accomplish in both the physical and the intangible part. But I think more than anything, it's bringing together a bond and a camaraderie, and that's really what you're trying to develop here over the last few months before we head into spring practice.
Coach Perlak is responsible for more than just the football team at Elon. He helps strengthen and condition a number of other teams across the board, but what makes football different from the rest?
It's light years different. I would almost argue that it's a whole different job. Football being a true collision sport, it's probably the only sport that really has an immediate carryover from what we do. You can get better as a rebounder. You can get better, maybe get a little more velocity on your fastball. You can maybe cut a little bit better if you're a soccer player. But the actual strength and conditioning of a football program, where you're talking about getting a guy that might be 6'4", 240, and then by his junior, senior year being 6'4", 280, it's a completely different ballgame.
Ultimately, with 8 weeks to train and develop players, what are Coach Perlak's biggest goals and challenges that he hopes to overcome by the time winter workouts end and spring practice begins?
At the end of the day, all we're looking at is, all right, What can we do down there to get them resistant to injury, bigger, stronger, faster, make them more athletic? That way all the coaches can teach them the skills and we'll be successful. You know, we have a lot of faith in these guys as a staff, and they have a lot of faith in us as far as the athletic part. So, you know, we're truly working together as a team with this and saying if we can get all 78 guys practicing this spring, we know we're going to be better.
Make sure to keep watching future episodes as we plan on looking at all positional groups during spring practice. Our team will keep you up to date with all that is happening with the football team.
Charlotte Smith is in her third season as head coach of the Elon women's basketball program. Although the team once had a winning record in conference, this was clearly the youngest team she had. In this next package, we take an in-depth look at 3 contributing freshmen and what made them impact players this season.
What do you do when you lose 2 all-conference performers and 3 top contributors to graduation? For one, you just hope other players can step up. Coach Charlotte Smith's squad was a young one without question, but I'm not sure she saw 3 freshmen filling those roles. Of the top 7 players on the team in minutes per game, 3 of them are the trio of freshmen in Lauren Brown, Jennifer Rhodes, and Lanera Ruffin. How were these Phoenix freshmen able to make an impact? Let's take a closer look, beginning with Brown, who's been the starting point guard ever since the season began. She had some tough shoes to fill after the departure of Allie Ford, but her ability to get to the rack was a noticeable part of their offense and helped her acclimate to college basketball.
I think it's always been a part of my game. I've never really considered myself a shooter. I mean, I like to shoot the ball, but I just think I have a better chance of doing something positive when I'm driving to the basket.
I think one of the things that makes Lauren Brown very effective in driving to the paint is just her determination to get there. She's always had confidence from day one. When she penetrates in there, she doesn't shrink back. It doesn't matter whether or not there's a shot blocker in there, whether someone's in there to take the charge. She just finds a way to get in the hole and to score.
She's very deceptive whenever she drives to the basket, and I think that she's very explosive. She has great ball handling skills, and she's just very deceptive with the ball, so she finds her way to the basket very easily.
Very rarely do freshmen come into the college game as immediate defensive stoppers. However, Coach Smith knew she had one in Jennifer Rhodes, who asserted herself with 3 blocks in her first career game. There was no looking back for Rhodes as she finished the regular season 2nd in the conference in blocks per game and put the Phoenix in the top 20 nationally.
We call her 747 because she has such long arms. She has the ability to get in there defensively and get deflections and to mix it up and to block a lot of shots, you know, and she has great length, great timing, and just aggressive.
Jennifer is extremely athletic and kind of deceiving. At times you'll think, I know even when we play in practice, I think that I'll be able to get to the rim or I can make a move, but she's so long and has the ability to really make good judgment.
I've been known to be naturally athletic, so definitely my high school coach focused defense. I've always been known as a shot blocker, high school and everything. That's one thing that I think I'll always be good at.
Everyone loves stars, but winning teams also have utility players that can do it all. The Phoenix was no exception this year, as Burlington native Lanera Ruffin contributed in many ways coming off the bench. In high school, Ruffin averaged 15 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals per game, so her versatility has always been there. What Coach Smith admires most, however, is the floor vision the guard brings to the table.
I mean, I just try to be deceptive and not try to stay mainly a shooter this game and mainly a penetrator this game. I just basically try to mix it up. Honestly, I'd rather make an assist because that's just as equal as scoring to me.
Whether she's coming off the bench or whether she's starting, she's always prepared. As a coach, you're thinking, well, how does she see that, and how does she get that ball through there? But she's great at, just seeing things happen before they happen, and a great job of just threading the needle is what we call it.
We kind of run like a motion offense, and so her being able to see the floor just in attack allows gaps to open up and create shots for other people who might necessarily be looking for just open shots. Like we have shooters and we have people like me who prefer to drive. And so Lanera, when she gets in the game, she definitely creates opportunities for other people along with herself.
The Phoenix made a lot of progress for such a young team. In fact, they won 10 conference games for the 4th consecutive year, largely due to the success of the 3 freshmen. What Brown, Rhodes, and Ruffin did in their first season in maroon and gold is only a sign of good things to come.
I've been very impressed with our freshman class with the progression over the year. They've grown, they developed, and they're understanding my system, my philosophies, and we're playing better as a team, and I think we're playing better because our freshmen have risen to the occasion.
The freshmen have stepped in big time throughout the year. They came right in, and I think that they stepped into that role very graciously, didn't take it for granted, and just knew they had to work hard in order to stay there. So they've been playing the entire year. They've been playing with a lot of confidence, and I'm glad to see that they've grown a lot.
Phoenix fans weren't the only ones to notice the impact of the freshmen. Both Lauren Brown and Jennifer Rhodes earned Southern Conference All-Freshman Team honors, and Rhodes was selected by the coaches as SoCon Freshman of the Year.
And that brings us to today's trivia. In the spring of 1928, which former Elon student ran in C.C. Pyle's cross-country Bunyan Derby? The answer coming up later in the show.
It's time for our first commercial break, but first, let's take a look at some upcoming games for the Phoenix. Don't go anywhere, because when we return, we learn about what it truly means to embrace the grind.
An Elon education is about preparing students for a life of global citizenship. Of course, this is a place where you're going to come and earn a degree, but it's also a place that's going to get you to think very deeply about how you're going to use that degree to make the world a better place.
Through their daily pursuit of excellence, Elon student athletes have gained recognition for their achievements both on and off the field.
Building a winning tradition takes hard work and dedication.
Dedication to the Maroon life.
Where success is not only measured by just wins and trophies,
but also by the knowledge we gain.
At Elon, we're more than just athletes.
We're student athletes.
Providing support enables success, helps sustain the winning tradition of Elon Athletics, while securing the future of our student athletes for years to come.
You're watching the Elon Phoenix Weekly on ESPN2.
The Elon Phoenix Weekly is made possible by the students of the School of Communications in association with the dedicated coaches, athletes, and staff of Elon Athletics.
There's been a buzz around the Elon football program, a buzz that has been created by new head coach Rich Skrosky, and it is all centered around these words.
What's in a saying? Where do they come from?
It's a phrase, and again, I don't know if I stole it, but it certainly isn't I don't know if I created anything like it.
Created or not, a saying is the ability to change the atmosphere, the way we carry ourselves, the way we handle the day-to-day. That's where that saying can come in.
We go along our lives, and no matter what profession you're in, if you want to be successful in them, you can't let the day-to-day work beat you.
The saying embodies the fact that it's not going to be easy.
It will literally, it will chew you up and spit you out. It really will. Life is hard.
While hard, this saying also implies the opportunity for greatness, and that's what drives us.
I'm going to come to work every day, and in this case we're talking about football. I'm going to come to work every day to get better, and that's really what embrace the grind means.
Embrace the grind. Just 3 words that are grounded in basics and that provide comfort and drive, and also denotes a history.
Here's what I've found in 30 years or close to 30 years of coaching. The players that embrace the grind are the ones that win. They're the ones that achieve. They're the ones that will go on and do unbelievable things with their life, both on the field and off the field. It goes much further than just being a college football player. It's really to prepare them for life.
And the saying, while it might be direct, is not just meant for the few, but for the whole.
It includes the community, it includes the college, and I think it's, President Lambert, when I said it to him, he kind of smiled a little bit and he said grit. He used that term grit, and I was like, you got it.
Embrace the grind. What's in that saying? Just 3 words, but endless potential.
The Phoenix will continue to embrace the grind through spring practices and the upcoming fall season.
Now, the answer to today's trivia. Earlier we asked, in the spring of 1928, which former Elon student ran in C.C. Pyle's cross-country Bunyan Derby? The answer, Paul L. Hard Rock Simpson. Although there was no track and field team, Simpson placed 36 out of 350 competitors in the Bunyan Derby, a 3,150-mile race that started in Los Angeles and ended in New York. The next year, Simpson entered again, this time placing 5th among the 62 runners over the 3,665-mile journey from New York to LA.
There is more that goes into athletic games than just 2 teams taking the field. How do they get there? We take a look at one side of the preparation, in the art of scheduling for Elon Athletics.
I think it's probably one of the more important aspects of our job.
First, you got to get your conference schedule to know what open dates you have.
Say in August of the year before, where we either have a conference meeting where we go to a set site, or we do a conference call. And at that time is when we all try to get together and put together our conference schedules.
We're in a 2-year rotation, so we're pretty much set in the CAA for the upcoming year in 2015. With basically that in-conference schedule, just flipping sites.
We try to keep the same weeks from year to year.
You can come into an issue where if you're traveling to Chattanooga, you want to make sure you get Sanford on the schedule since it's a long trip.
We do a thing that I've requested called a season planner. A season planner is nothing more than give me an idea of where you're going next year and what it's going to cost, and that's how we try to set budgets.
And then from there, you start working on non-conference schedule, because you got to have your conference schedule set up before you can even look at non-conference situations.
We'll always want all of our people, all of our players to have an opportunity to play a FCS opponent. We open with Duke this year.
We'll kind of keep our current formula. We're playing some of the ACC teams and Big South teams.
Philosophically, if you were to say we have 3 out-of-conference games, what we'd love to have a regional game down here. Hopefully we would get one of those at Road Stadium.
But if we're not able to get some of those big names, then we've got to even find a way to travel and find what are the best mid-major programs tennis-wise for that year or for the future, to keep our schedule as strong as possible. The ACC schools, you've normally got to go play at their site.
Sometimes it's because of relationships that we have with the institutions.
Coach Kennedy's got a great rapport with Chapel Hill and Wake Forest and Duke and Carolina, and they all know they're going to, and State, and they're going to play each other every year, and they always know that.
We are playing Tennessee next year. The volunteer coach that's working with me right now was an All-American in Tennessee. So you never know how you're going to get someone on the schedule.
Being in this local area, in this region, there's lots of good soccer teams.
North Carolina A&T has been on our schedule. I think that's a great game.
We've been fortunate to play some very top teams locally.
Our conference schedule is going to be expensive because we're going north. We know that, but the non-conference now should be easier because we're leaving the Southern and they're here.
Sometimes they choose not to play a team that maybe is a higher quality team because they want to make sure that their record's good enough for NCAA at large and things like that. So they'll actually not schedule a mid-major who's strong and schedule a mid-major who's not as strong. Sometimes that can be success if you beat a team they don't want to play again because we're not a good loss. You know, if we upset Duke this year, and that can hurt you sometimes in scheduling Duke for the future.
And other teams may look at it and go, well, we don't want to play Elon anymore because, you know, they've got a high RPI, so you know, they probably look to a team that they can probably win against more so than Elon.
Conference realignment has been a challenge. You've got more teams in conference. Okay, so if you have the ACC who normally played 11 matches are now playing 13 or 14, well, there's 3 non-conference teams they're not going to play.
Certainly the other sports, you know, fight that battle. Football probably misses the least amount of class time just by the nature of it, playing on Saturday afternoon.
So we play night games, so you know we can leave campus at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock for an away game, so the players know to get their classes completed by that time. So you know they miss as little class as possible.
You end up playing sometimes on like a Friday, Sunday, you know, just to kind of give a day off if you have to travel. So that so then if you have say a weekday schedule, you might decide to have a missed class on a Tuesday, Thursday, so you're not missing all Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You know, I look at what Matt does and you know what Coach Kennedy does with baseball and the amount of time that those kids do have to miss for school. And Casey Crenshaw, our academic coordinator, she does a great job of, you know, making sure that the work gets taken care of.
I mean, on any given day, I know with our team over the past couple of years, we can beat anybody we feel in the country, but at the same time we can also lose to anybody, so that makes scheduling very difficult.
Elon's schedules will continue to evolve with the Phoenix success on the field. If you want to find any schedules, head to elonphoenix.com and check them all out.
And that brings us to today's history.
On this day in Elon sports history, we take a look back at the rise of Elon's golf program. Elon's golf history took a significant turn when Bill Morningstar became head coach in 1973. Morningstar started his coaching career with 3 winning seasons and 2 trips to the national tournament. In 1976, Elon gained its first All-American golfers. David Braxton and Chuck Scott led the Fighting Christians to a second-place finish at the NAIA National Championship Golf Tournament that year. By 1979, Morningstar had added several demanding multi-team meets to the schedule. This pushed Elon's golf program to consistent success and national recognition. The 1980s brought Elon Golf a national championship title, 5 District 26 titles, and 4 Carolina Conference championships. The team was nationally ranked every year, finishing in the top 10 8 times. 15 golfers earned All-American honors while Morningstar was head coach. And that's today's look into Elon sports history.
We have to take our second commercial break, but first, let's see some upcoming games for Elon.
An Elon education is about preparing students for a life of global citizenship. Of course, this is a place where you're going to come and earn a degree, but it's also a place that's going to get you to think very deeply about how you're going to use that degree to make the world a better place.
Through their daily pursuit of excellence, Elon student athletes have gained recognition for their achievements both on and off the field.
Building a winning tradition takes hard work and dedication.
Dedication to the Maroon life.
Where success is not only measured by just wins and trophies,
but also by the knowledge we gain.
At Elon, we're more than just athletes.
We're student athletes.
Providing support enables success. Help sustain the winning tradition of Elon Athletics while securing the future of our student athletes for years to come.
You're watching the Elon Phoenix Weekly on ESPN2.
Welcome back to the Elon Phoenix Weekly on your ESPN2 local sports break.
Elon is celebrating its 125th year as a university, and this feature takes a look at the role of women's athletics during the course of Elon's history.
Celebrating its 125th year, Elon University has come a long way. Over that time, Elon Athletics has seen tremendous growth, specifically in women's athletics. To reflect on the progress since the beginning, the Women's Gender Studies Program Advisory Council partnered with Elon Athletics to hold an event titled Celebrating 125 Years of Women's Athletics.
I think some of the early things that happened in our history, for example, that women weren't allowed to go to athletic events unless they were accompanied by a faculty member. Some of those stories really filled in the history that we don't have on record.
The event featured a panel made up of current and former Elon student athletes, as well as other longtime Elon supporters.
I would play today if physically I could, and if the NCAA would allow me, so it was
Panelists took turns answering questions, and Dr. Janie Brown shared historical documents with the crowd, which listed the reasons why women were left out for so many years.
First of all, physically, the female is not suited for overstrenuous activity. Endurance is shorter. The menstrual cycle presents a handicap for strenuous activity. The shoulder girdle is not suited for excessive shoulder activity, and the strength is not as great as the male.
Current Elon student athletes Anna Nixick and Sloan Kessler were both on the panel as well, and enamored by the stories from Elon's past.
There's so many stories I didn't know even before Title IX, and I loved it. I learned so much, and I was so happy to be able to take part in it. Hearing the stories from way back when, we've come so far.
Elon's facilities continue to grow and improve today with its newest additions for the inaugural women's lacrosse team.
There's so much support from the administration to make sure our facilities are top-notch. We're playing in the football stadium, and that is a truly awesome place to play a lacrosse game, and for all of our fans to be up high around the stadium, whether it's on the grass. And our locker room is really amazing. All of the women's facilities are so nice.
It is clear that Elon Women's Athletics has evolved over 125 years, and a brand new chapter will begin next year as Elon makes the transition into a new conference.
I think that the first priority is to make sure that we are competitive as we move into the Colonial Athletic Association. We have an idea of what we need to do to be competitive there, but until you're in the league, it's really still a little bit unknown. We always have a goal of being in the top 3, because if you're there, then the chances of winning a championship are a lot better. So that'll be the next big piece.
It's great to see all the growth of Elon Athletics in any form, and we can't wait to see where the Phoenix are in upcoming decades.
That's our show for today. If you missed anything and want to watch it again, be sure to check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Elon Phoenix Weekly.
You can also watch us on Time Warner Cable, channel 1083, to watch us on demand.
Also be sure to check out ElonPhoenix.com, your #1 source for all the maroon and gold buzz.
On behalf of our producers and crew here at the show, we hope you continue to have a spectacular weekend.
For the Elon Phoenix Weekly, I'm David Perrell.
And I'm Zora Stevenson. See you next week.